Harm toward entire communities rarely begins with violence. It begins with language. Across US history, certain words have been used to describe groups as inferior, dangerous, or outside the boundaries of who deserves protection. That language has repeatedly been used to justify removal, confinement, and exclusion. Chinese workers in the 1800s were labeled diseased, unassimilable, and aliens, setting the stage for the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, the first law to ban an entire group from entering the country. And throughout the 20th century, immigrants from Latin America were called wetbacks, invaders, and illegals. This language helped justify mass deportation campaigns, including Operation Wetback in 1954. If someone is labeled an invader, it makes it easier to believe they deserve to be taken away, locked up, or separated from their family. They broke the law. They had it coming. These ideas aren't new. It's a pattern that is repeated across generations. This pattern is not limited to the United States. In Nazi Germany, gay men were described by the state as immoral, dangerous, and a threat to society. These claims were written into law under paragraph 175, which criminalized homosexuality. Those arrested were sent to prisons and concentration camps and forced to wear a pink triangle on their uniforms. The symbol was used by the government to identify, isolate, and punish them. The pink triangle was part of a bureaucratic system. It marked who could be imprisoned, abused, or killed with state approval. Thousands of gay men died in camps. Survivors were often rearrested after the war and denied recognition or reparations for decades. This history shows how dehumanizing language becomes policy and how policy produces real harm. When you repeat these words enough times, they stop sounding like opinions and start shaping public belief. Dehumanizing language changes how we think and how we think people should be treated. If someone is thought of as less than human, it may become easier to believe that they don't deserve rights, safety, or even basic compassion. Language does not create policy on its own, but it influences what people come to see as reasonable or even necessary. Today, the language of misinformation spreads faster than ever because we live in the age of information and also the age of misinformation. Misinformation is when someone shares something false by accident. Disinformation is when someone spreads something false on purpose, such as manipulating someone, causing fear, or creating an enemy. Algorithms don't care about what's true. They care about what keeps you watching, what catches your attention. Research shows that emotionally charged and misleading content spreads faster than verified information. Over time, repeated exposure online influences beliefs, voting behavior, and opinions on policies. Across US history, different groups have been framed as threats to public safety, morality, or national identity. Indigenous peoples, Chinese workers, Irish immigrants, Latin American immigrants, Muslims. Today, LGBTQ+ community, especially transgender people. The language remains consistent. They're dangerous. They're coming for your children. They're destroying our values. They don't belong here. The target shifts, but the tactics stay the same. When you strip someone of their humanity, restricting their rights becomes easier to justify. So before we can talk about protests, policies, or organized outrage, we have to understand the foundation. It all starts with language, the words that make harm seem logical. Language shapes belief, belief informs people's actions, and legal policy, and policy shapes lives. In part 2, we'll look at how these narratives move from media and political messaging into schools, neighborhoods, and local communities, and how manufactured outrage is used to divide people, distract us, and disrupt our potential for solidarity.